Hello and good evening, everybody. Great to have you here. Lovely to be in the company of Filomena Pascual. Again this evening, our first Thursday language and culture special tonight. Key vocabulary for using public transport and taxis, including taxis here in Portugal. And we'll probably cover all manner of transport here. Those ferries, of course, in Lisbon and the trams and so on. So anything you need to know about public transport and taxis, you come to the right place this evening. Good evening. Boa tarde to you, Filomena.
Olá, boa tarde. For the Portuguese, it's still boa tarde. Let me start my presentation. Let me see. Okay. So
excellent. Because this is a stressful time, isn't it? When people are first in the country, Filomena, and this is one of the situations they'll face, being on public transport at some point. And there's a lot going on in this scenario. So we're glad you're doing this tonight.
Yes. So speaking about public transport, taxis and others, as you said, we can start with, in my opinion, a very good transport in Portugal, which are the trains. So in Portuguese, the word train is comboio. So trains, comboios. So if you want to travel by train, you better consult the page from the CP, the website of CP. And when you go to this website, you have something like that. And you have horários e preços, a timetable. Well, of course, you can choose the English language as well, but I kept it in Portuguese, right? So for you to see the Portuguese version. But at the top, as you can see, you have Portuguese or English, so you can choose the English version. But so horários e preços are the timetables and prices. And you have to insert, of course, where is the station of origin and where is the destination. And then you can choose the date, and it's enough. Then you click on search, pesquisar, and then you can have all the results for the trains that day. For example, I have an example here from Porto Campanhã to Lisbon Oriente. So this is an example, and I would like to tell you about all these different trains, because probably you are not aware what the differences are. So when you have to travel a long distance, like Porto and Coimbra or Lisbon or Faro or the big cities, I advise you to take either an intercity IC or an AP, which means alpha pendular. So alpha pendular AP are always the fastest trains. As you can see, you have how long the trip takes. So for example, from Porto to Lisbon on an AP train, you take about 2 hours and 50 minutes. So that is less than 3 hours. You go from Porto to Lisbon. On an IC, you take a little longer, 3 hours and 15 minutes. So intercity is a train that stops a little bit more in more stations than the AP. I also advise you, when you want to travel by train, to buy your tickets with at least 5 days in advance. Because if you do that, you have promotions. As you can see by the little yellow star that you have here on this search, for example, on the 11th of July, because today we are already on the 4th, so I have chosen a day in a week, right? So if I wanted to travel next Thursday from Porto to Lisbon, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 promotion that I could take. So these little yellow stars means that, for example, the ticket that the IC from 6 o'clock, 6:37, instead of paying €39.75 in first class, I would pay €24 in first class. Then, for example, let me choose one from the bottom, an AP, an Alpha Pendular 1732. You could pay €28.50 on a first class seat. That is cheaper than a normal second class. The second class would be €33.90. And if you want to travel first class, you could travel 20 for 28.50, or second class for €20.50. So as you can see, there are good promotions if you book at least 5 days in advance or more. Then if you click on the cross that is about the detail, you have the details. For example, if the train is a direct train, or if you have to change trains, for example, in Coimbra or in Aveiro sometimes. So you can have the details, all the details there. And as I said, if you choose the English language at the top, you have everything in English as well. I just wanted to keep this in Portuguese as a Portuguese teacher.
Quite right.
Okay. And of course, there are other kind of discounts. For example, if you are 65 years old or over 65 years old, you also have a 50% discount. So you can always see online what kind of discount you can have when you click forward to the purchase of the ticket. Then you choose, for example, if you want a senior ticket, over 65 years old, or a children's a child's ticket, or so there are other discounts, but I'm just considering here the standard price for any adults from 18 years old to 64. Okay.
Filomena, this is incredible value, isn't it? So I'm guessing you don't get the promotional prices and the seniors discount, but even so, to travel
probably not. I'm not sure.
Travel Porto to Lisbon and to pay €25 for that on a really, I mean, the Alpha Pendula trains are incredible. And to be there,
yes,
and you'll 2 hours 50, and you'll see the countryside as you rattle through it.
And
on the
you have a cafeteria, a bar in the train. You can eat, you can drink, you can walk, you can walk on the train. So I think it's very, very comfortable. They are very good, and that would be my first choice, the train.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Before we move on, Jose is asking, are the promotions available at all times of the year if you make that booking at least 5 days in advance?
Yes,
so it's all the time. Great.
All the time. As long as you book in advance, you can always see several promotions. And so it depends. For example, imagine they have, I don't know, 100 tickets to sell for the promotion. And then you can get to a point where the promotion is over, right? But you are always with these little yellow stars. When you buy at that moment, the promotion is on. So you can always buy that as soon as possible.
Amazing. Really good. There you go, Jose.
Yeah, and especially, for example, this was for in a week, right? Next week, it's not a long-term decision, right? It's if you decide, okay, next week I'm going from Porto to Lisbon, so you better buy it with a promotion.
Oh, sorry, before we move on from trains, people are astounded, I think, by the great value here. And Diana's saying that the trains are astonishingly good value in Portugal. Are the senior discounts available to tourists? Do you have to be a resident, or can you just show your senior card as a tourist and get a discount?
That is a good question, but I think it's available for any person over 65. I think.
I think you're probably right, because when you ask for children's discounts, or if you ask for a child ticket, you need to prove that, don't you? And you show an ID of some sort.
Yeah, but I think it has not. I think that it has nothing to do with being a resident or not.
I think you're right.
If you are 65 or over 65, you can have the discount.
Very good. George Nielsen, thank you. I have received a discount for over
You
65.
just
So
you
yes.
just have, of course, you just have to present your ID to prove that you are over 65.
Fantastic.
Sometimes you look so young that it's hard to believe.
In the case of Jerry, of course. So Jerry, did you want to add something to that?
Absolutely, all the time. I mean, I was in the States recently and I had to show my ID to get a drink. Who'd have believed it, you know?
Of course.
I think there's actually another problem there. But yes, as far as I'm aware, as long as you can show your ID, usually a passport, but you can actually register on the website.
Yes.
If you log on to the website and register, you can then register as a senior citizen, and then you will qualify for the discount. But when you click on the ticket, do I sound like I'm speaking from experience here? When you click on to buy the ticket, you must click on that you're buying a senior discounted ticket.
Yes, yes. For example, last week I bought, or 2 weeks ago, I bought some tickets for my Slovenian friends that were coming to visit me. And they had their ID card with them. So you have to choose what kind of ID. If it's a passport, if it's an ID card, if it's a driving license, or what kind of ID you have. So I just had to choose what was the kind of ID, the number of each one's ID, and then I chose the promotion because I bought them the promotion tickets. So the promotion, not because they are over 65, but the promotion with the little yellow star. So, for example, they travel on first class with a lower price than they would pay on a second class with a normal ticket.
Yeah,
that's really good. Really good to know all of that information there. That's excellent.
And to add a little bit more to that, Filomena, I think what's very good is when you book the ticket on this website or on the app, you're assigned a seat number. You're always assigned a seat number on an IC or an AP train. And so when the conductor comes to check, he already knows who you are.
Yes.
He has your name, and he always goes, come up to me, Mr. Jerry, yes, can I see your ID? There you go. Thank you. Job done.
By the way, something that is important, when you book a ticket for an AP or an IC train, you have a located seat, so you can't sit wherever you want. Right. You can choose, by the way. When you buy online, you can choose if you want to go the same direction as the train, or if you want to go backwards, or you can choose your seat. But you have to sit exactly where you should be. So the carriage number, so you have to pay attention at the carriage number, although you shouldn't wait while on the platform. You shouldn't wait. You just get in, because they don't stop for a long time. So get in the train, and then once in the train, you look for the number of the carriage that you have to choose, on the ticket. And then in that carriage, you look for the seat number, and you sit there. Otherwise, you might be asked to leave the seat, because that's my seat. It's not yours. So.
And that can be a challenge, because you'll be standing on the platform and you want you've got a first class ticket, so you want carriage number 82, but you don't know, will that be at the front of the train, as it can often be, or will it be at the rear of the train, as it can often be? So you kind of stand in the middle, knowing which way to go until the train comes in, and then you have to run like crazy.
Run. There are lots of people who keep running, but if you ask someone from the train station, they usually know. But what I usually do is I just wait, and then when the train passes, I try to see if the carriage has already passed or not. But the priority is getting in. It doesn't matter which carriage. Getting in is the priority. And then also when you travel, and especially if you are stopping at a station that doesn't have a lot of people to get off, you better stand up a bit before the station, because if you sit down, if you wait for the train to stop and then get up, It might be too late. When you get by the door, the train just goes and you don't get off. So you
Well,
better
that's
be
some good
prepared.
advice. Yeah, get on and then find your seat once you
Yeah.
get on.
Be prepared to get off.
I think another thing worth mentioning is it can be quite a climb to get into the train from the platform. And it's
With the
not
luggage,
always
especially with the
easy.
luggage.
If you've got two suitcases, it can be you're on your own. It can be quite difficult. So just be aware of that and give yourself plenty of time as well.
But this is Portugal, and there is always someone to help you.
Of course there is.
If you ask,
if I'm there,
if
I'm
you ask
available to
someone,
help always.
if you ask
Yes.
someone, no, but
Yeah.
really, if you ask someone for help, I'm sure someone will help you.
Yeah. So if it's not champagne at the airport, Jerry's happy to help you onto a train as well. Get on that train.
Actually, I have to say that I took a train journey recently, and I wasn't sure about. I had a big suitcase. I was going to the airport, and I wasn't sure about putting the suitcase in the overhead rack. I was sort of standing there thinking, is it too heavy for it, and so on. And a young girl, she could only been about 18. She came up and offered to take the case for me and lift it up.
There you go.
But you also,
I was so embarrassed.
But you also have a compartment by the door where you can leave your luggage there. And again, I mean, you are not going to be robbed. You can leave your luggage there, and you can sit and be, relaxed, because nobody's going to take your luggage.
Loving all of this train talk. We will move on, but this is a very important. No. But this is a very important subject because, and there's a lot of interest in it. And there was a comment from George. Are the trains usually clean? On some occasions, I've had a bad experience.
Very clean.
I think that's unusual, George. I think they're very clean, and as Filomena says, there's always somebody to help. And as Mrs. M would say, many of the conductors are very handsome as well. They're very well dressed. They're very well turned down, and they're very proud. I think they're very proud of their job.
Wearing a suit, a tie.
Yes, absolutely. And they are very smartly dressed, and they take a pride in their appearance and their work. So I'm surprised to hear you've had a bad experience on a train here, George. So
maybe he has used the regional one. The regional ones are not so good quality. If it's a regional one that stops in every station, they are a bit less quality. And so they might be a bit dirtier, let's say, but usually the IC and the AP trains, they, as far as my experience is, they are always spotless.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and finally, another one. This is very interesting train talk tonight. We found that the 2 comments. We found the trains and buses here to be remarkably prompt, says Jose Cruz. I use buses routinely to Lisbon from Torres Vedras, and they leave promptly at the scheduled time. So don't be late. And I'm sure we'll get on to coaches' buses because they're great here in Portugal as well. And George says, I suppose that one cannot count on trains always being on time. Is that the case? I think punctuality is fairly good as well. Apart from other challenges that they can't, they couldn't have factored in. I think there isn't. It's not like flying tap, is it? The trains have a much better representation, a better reputation than the national airline, I think.
Usually, sometimes there are delays, but sometimes 5 minutes delay, or it's not usual to be a very big delay. I mean, at least as I told you before, on the trains that I usually take, they are usually on time. Yeah,
it can happen, George, for sure. And you had a delay.
It can
happen for sure. Yes, but there's no reputation of that kind, as far as I'm aware. So I think is that trains that we've covered.
Yeah. So as I have at the bottom, desconto de 50% a partir dos 65 anos e outros descontos, as we have discussed, the discount 50% discount over 65 years old and other kinds of discounts.
Fantastic.
So buses. Autocarros. The buses, you have several, but I'm focusing on at least 2 that are the most popular at the moment. Rede Expressos is our usual expresso bus. Sorry. And so the website Rede Expressos, you have a page like this. You have to choose national or international. Again, you can choose Portuguese or English, And again, you have to choose where from, where to. The date, how many people. And you see, for example, here, I chose 1 over 65 years old. So you can choose also with the promotions, the discounts for older people. So this on this one, then the other one is Flixbus. That is a Spanish company that now is in Portugal as well. And so on the Flixbus, you also have this web page, and again, you choose the origin, the destination, the date, how many people, and then you look for one option. Then apart from so I don't know if you want to ask anything about the buses.
Well, actually, yeah, it goes back to trains again. We know from this that what you're sharing with us that it's like the bus system has been deregulated, so there are a number of companies. That's not the case with trains, though, is it? Because George is asking if there are other train companies. I've never seen another train company.
The trains are always CP trains.
Yeah,
Comboios de Portugal.
Yeah, so
Comboios
there
de
you
Portugal.
go. It's the national system, and it's the
Yes,
buses
it's
where there's
just
competition.
CP. The
Yeah,
buses,
okay.
as I said, we have our Rede Expressos. This was for many years the only bus that we we had between big cities was Rede Expressos. But now recently we have the Flixbus company that is running with cheaper prices. Lots of times they have cheaper prices, and they also have some discounts. For example, because they are new in the country, they are trying to get more customers. And for example, you buy a ticket, and the next time you buy another ticket, you get 25% discount or 10% discount. They are trying to get something that attracts the new customers. And also the prices, because the prices are quite low. So, for example, just to tell you that the last time I used the Flixbus was on Sunday, and I went from Coimbra to Braga. Braga is really up north, a long way from Coimbra to Braga, and I paid about €6.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we should say, shouldn't we? I
mean, and I'm not over 65, by the way.
No, of course not. And we should say, because some people, the idea of catching a bus or a coach strikes terror into people from other countries in the world. It's a very unsafe or shoddy, sketchy way to travel in some countries in the world. The buses here are like the trains, aren't they? Really, really well maintained. Also proudly driven.
At least my experience, yes, was
Same
good.
Here. Same here. Yeah. So it's a good experience.
They are good. And again, you have your seat. You have to go to your seat, but no problem with that. And so on Flixbus, you can also choose the seat. You pay a little bit extra, but sometimes you pay €4 more. If you want the front seats, for example, you might pay €4 or €5 more. If you want some other seats, you pay €2 or €3 for the seat to choose the seat. But apart from that, you have very cheap prices.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. The one bit of vocabulary with the coaches. The coach station has an interesting name. Is it the rodoviario?
Rodoviaria Nacional. Rodoviaria Nacional was the old name of what is now Rede Expressos.
Okay, and sometimes you still see that, don't you?
Sometimes you still have on the older buses, yes, and the stations, yes. Rodoviária Nacional, and then you have Rodoviária do Oeste, for example, where you are. Rodoviária da Beira Alta, Rodoviária da Beira Interior. So the different areas of Portugal, but now they are called Expressos, Rede Expressos.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then, for example, because I am from Coimbra, for example, there is the Coimbra Airport Shuttle, which is a van that you can also book for example, to go to the airport, or when you arrive at the airport to come home. And so you can choose the date, etc., how many passengers, if it's just one way or return ticket. And they are, of course, more expensive because it's a private shuttle. So they can get you from the place where you live. So it's from door to door. So they collect you at your address, and they drive you up to the airport, or they collect you at the airport and they drive you up to your home. But of course, this is a bit more expensive, especially if you live a little bit further, like me in Miranda do Corvo. We pay also an extra, I think, 18 euros for each passenger for them to come here to Miranda.
Wow.
Instead of just going to Coimbra.
Great
So-
service.
But it is a good service. It is a good service. But as I said, you pay a little bit more than taking the bus, but it's natural because it's from your door to the airport. So
Right.
it's
It's amazing. I
natural
had
that you pay
no
more.
idea about that. That's great service to know about.
Yeah. So this is Coimbra Airport Shuttle, and I'm sure there are other airport shuttles in the country, but I know this one because this is the one that people from Coimbra usually use. Then the underground metro, abbreviation of Metropolitano. Okay. So we have, of course, we just have metro in Lisbon and Porto. Okay. Well, in Coimbra, we will have the metro bus. We hope soon. But at the
It's only been
time,
30 years, right? In the making.
14. We are waiting just for 14 years.
Oh,
not
I'm
long.
sorry. I'm sorry. Just
Not
14.
not long, just 14
Okay.
years.
Yeah, all right.
But we had the train. We had the train, and then they thought the train was very old and needed renovation, and then okay, run out of money, and we are waiting for the works to go on. But they say that the metro bus will be ready by the end of this year, so let's keep hoping. So the Metropolitano de Lisboa, the metro in Lisbon, it's very, very simple if you compare to the London one. It's very, very, very simple. As you can see, there are just these lines here on the map, the yellow line, the blue line, the green line, the red line. So it's very, very simple. For example, if you go to the airport, if you take a bus or a train, you usually exit at Oriente. So if you take a train, that's for sure, that's your station. And if you take a bus, unless you take a shuttle that drives you directly to the airport, a Flixbus, for example, also stops at Oriente. And then you can take the underground. It's 2 minutes, you are at the airport. So you just have 3 stations from Oriente to the underground, to the airport on the underground. A problem, in my opinion, a problem of the underground in Lisbon is that you can't access the western part of the city. So, for example, if you want to go and visit Belém, Mosteiro dos Jerónimos, so that the historical part of the city, you don't have an underground there, and so you have to take a bus. You have to take a bus or a taxi or other means of transport, but it is a bit limited. In my opinion, it is a bit limited. It should go to the Belém area as well. In Porto, you also have Metro do Porto. It's a lot better and a lot bigger than the one in Lisbon. So you have these lines, as you can see here. So in Porto, I think the system works very well. You can go also to places that are a bit far from the city center. So I think, in my opinion, if you are in Porto, that is a good choice to take the metro. By the way, how to buy a ticket, okay? In Porto, you can have a ticket like this called Andante, and you can buy in the machines there, for example, and then you can charge the At least it used to be like that. I don't know if it still is, but I think so. You charge the card with a number of trips that you want. In Lisbon, if you have just a card that is a contactless payment, any card from your bank that allows the contactless payment, you don't need anything else. You just go to the machine, you put your debit card or credit card, any card from your bank, and you put it on near the machine, the reader, and the gates open for you, and the debit goes directly from your bank account, and they don't charge you any extra for that. It's €1.80 for one trip.
Amazing, isn't it? Great value
Okay.
and very convenient. That sounds wonderful.
So it's very simple, very simple. You don't need to worry about it, because you just in Porto. I'm not so sure, because I don't travel to Porto as much as I travel to Lisbon. But when I went there, I used to have this card, and I think it's still with the card. I'm not aware of any updating payment details, but I think it's still with the card. In Lisbon, it is very simple, just with any card from your bank. You don't need a ticket, let's say. You just take the card. Okay. Shall we move on to the taxis?
Well, there's a team effort going on here tonight with our community, which we always appreciate. A couple of comments before we go on to taxis there, Filomena. In Lisbon, says Diana B, we always charge up via Viagem. Well, Viva Viagem. I've got one here as well. Doesn't probably show up on a green screen very much.
You can also have, yeah.
And you can use all the transport systems with that.
Yes,
as well as the
you can
metro.
also have a card. Yes, you can have a card, and then you can take the bus. You can have, yeah.
Even
but
the
if
ferry,
you
I think.
imagine that you arrive, you take the train. Let's say from Porto, from Coimbra, from Aveiro, to Lisbon, and you are going to the airport. You exit at Oriente, and then the best is to take the underground. And for that, if it's just one journey like that from Orient train station or metro station to the airport, you don't have to buy any card. You can just use your debit card or credit card. That allows the contactless payment, and it's enough. You don't have to have a card.
Well, that's super convenient. And on that note of carrying lots of luggage, Jose Cruz mentioning as well, Lisbon Metro, really neat art in many stations. Yes, you could easily take that for granted, but the public art in Portugal is great in many ways, and especially good, I would say, on Lisbon's metro stations. Mini or giant shopping malls in numerous stations, for example, Orient, yes, but not all stations have lifts. So if you're traveling with a lot of luggage, it can be a tad challenging. Prepare to do some huffing and puffing. Although Jerry will probably be there as well to help you up the stairs with that. Carol also adding, yes, still with the Andante card in Porto. So somebody in Porto.
Andante, yes, Andante card.
Saying.
Yeah.
Can you take your dog with you on trains, Filomena, before we move on to taxis?
Can you take what?
Can you take a dog on the train?
Yes, you pay a ticket, but yes, you can take the dog, but you have to pay a ticket for the dog.
That's Pedder with 16 tickets for all his dogs.
And
then.
For example, you can take your bicycle. You can take your bicycle. There are some carriages.
Yes.
Imagine that you want to take your bicycle because you want to cycle. Yes, you can take the bicycle. There are some carriages with special compartments where you can put the bicycle. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
You just have to ask at the for example, if you ask at any train station, they will let you know where you should go to or how to proceed.
Yes, very good. Okay, taxi for Expats Portugal.
Taxis. So some vocabulary, because of course everyone knows how to use a taxi, but some vocabulary. Chamar táxi is to call a taxi. Chamar táxi. For example, you could say, podia chamar-me táxi, por favor, if you are at a hotel, for example, and you want to say, could you call me a taxi, please, at the reception? So you could say, using your best Portuguese, podia chamar-me táxi, por favor? Podia chamar-me táxi, por favor? So that's the way you can ask at the reception or, you know, a service that you want to ask. Then, for example, you can say to the taxi driver, you can say para o aeroporto, se faz favor, or a complete sentence, queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. So I would like to go to the airport, if you please, or just to the airport, please. So para o aeroporto, se faz favor, ou queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Then you have to ask how much is it. So the question should be quanto é? Quanto é? How much is it? Quanto é? And then if you want to give a tip, you can say pode ficar com o troco. You can keep the change. Pode ficar com o troco. And finally, there is always a nice way to say goodbye. Obrigado or obrigada. A man or a woman, obrigado, obrigada. And then you can say bom dia or boa tarde or boa noite. So again, chamar táxi. Podia chamar-me táxi, por favor? Queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Quanto é? Pode ficar com o troco. Obrigada. Boa tarde.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I hope everybody was saying, I can't see the gallery view, but I hope everybody was repeating after you, Filomena.
Okay. Yeah, because of course, what can I say about taking a taxi? Everyone knows how to take a taxi, and so you can take
one possible thing is the growth of Uber and Bolt here. So traditionally,
yes,
it's
also
a green
Uber,
and
yeah.
black taxi, isn't it? Which is the standard, like the yellow cab or the black cab in New York or London. There are more and more cities being served by Uber and Bolt
yes,
now,
there
aren't
are. Yes, you can have the application also, and ask for a Uber anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Okay. So that was it.
That's great. Thank you very much. We'll pause the recording. Yes, quite rightly so, Jerry. Round of applause there. Very interesting tonight. Really good to learn about the public transport system. A bit of
This is what I know. This is, I mean, but in my opinion, public transports could be better in general in Portugal because, especially to do with the timetables. Because, for example, yesterday I had to drive to Lisbon to pick up some friends coming from Turkey because the plane was landing at 10 p.m. So the plane landed at 10 p.m. And then at 10 p.m., they didn't have any public transport to come to Coimbra because the last train was at 10 o'clock, the last bus was at 9 o'clock. Even the Flixbus was at 10 o'clock, and then the next one would be at 2:30 in the morning. So in terms of timetable, I think they could be better.
Okay, so not so much the quality, but the coverage.
No, not the quality, because the quality is good, but the lack of more options. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Obrigado, Filomena. Obrigado. That
De
would be
nada.
better. And from Farouk as well. Good to have you here. Diane asking, will there always be taxis at the airport? Most likely, right?
Oh, yes, of course. There is a long line of taxis at the airport, both airports, in Porto, in Lisbon, in Faro as well. But we just have 3 airports, so Porto, Lisbon, or Faro.
And a new one coming though, right? Lisbon will eventually have its new airport with a lovely big taxi rank, I'm sure. In the US, Charlotte says taxis are also called cabs, same in England. Is there a Portuguese word like cab, or is it always taxi?
Taxi.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And Jose Cruz, taxi fares are quite reasonable here. We've only paid in cash. Do they normally accept credit cards? You can pay by card, can't you?
Yeah, I think so. Usually they have a little machine to pay. You can always ask in advance.
Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it?
But I think, yes, the credit cards, yes, they all. And in Portugal, you know that in Portugal, lots of people pay now with MBWay, right?
Okay, yes, of course.
MBWay is also a very popular way of paying because you just need the phone number. So you have the app, MBWay, and then you choose what is the phone number that you are sending the money to, and then the phone number is associated with the bank account, and so you can pay with MBWay.
Which
Lots
could
of people.
perhaps be a subject for another evening with you,
Maybe,
because you need a
maybe.
Portuguese phone number, and we could do a
Yes.
Portuguese phone special, couldn't we? Answering the phone, making phone calls, and the MBWay, which is an integral part of the Portuguese phone system as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, I can. Yeah, trying
In
to show
fact,
you.
yes, you could send Filomena the cost of a bottle of wine via MBWay right now. That's how good it is here in this country with that sort of thing. And talking of which, phones, the WhatsApp group, the Expats Portugal WhatsApp group is now up and running, and there's the barcode or the QR code, I beg your pardon, for that in the chat as well. I've tested it; it's working. But yes, you probably have to click on the image and blow it up a little bit. Sorry, Filomena, you're going to add something to that.
No, I was just trying to see you, to show you, but
yeah, you will need a Portuguese phone number to do MBWay.
yes,
You can't
yeah.
fly in as a tourist to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why my phone is taking so long, but
No worries. While you're doing that, we love MBWay, says Jose Cruces, so he's a convert to that. Muito obrigado, muito interessante to you. Someone told me that there is one that covers Lisbon and surrounding areas. I'm not sure what you mean there, Caroline. Let us know.
maybe the metro or the ticket,
Oh.
the ticket maybe.
Possibly. This may not be universal, but in our experiences, Diana, we get one of the large taxis, that is the Mercedes SUV. We will be offered private guided tours for a very reasonable price, just for your information there. That's good to know. There's also a monthly pass in my little city in the interior. Are we looking at MBWay there?
MBWay, but
you've opened it up.
probably not very, you can't see it. But on MBWay, I have, this is my card, so is as if I was paying with the card.
Yes.
So that is my bank card, and then I have the options, for example, to pay with MBWay, for example, also to be solidary, so I can donate some money to some institutions if I want. But I have several options here, and this is just with the phone, so you can pay with the app.
It's a great system. It really is very good. Your phone becomes a virtual terminal, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes,
brings
your phone
bank
is
account to
just
life.
a bank account,
Yep.
a bank card.
Yep. Final point from Carol. There is a monthly pass, and we'll come to some of the questions I didn't get to when we stop the recording in just a moment. Great session tonight. More thanks coming in for you, Filomena. There is a monthly pass in my little city in the interior, says Carol. A senior pass is unlimited rides, and it's €14.10. There is another for regular adults and also one for children. Isn't that fantastic to know? Great value there on public transport where it is available here in Portugal. Muito obrigado. Thank you so much, Filomena, for another fantastic session tonight. Looking forward to the next one already, which is the first Thursday of the month is when we talk to you. So let's pause there and go to some of the questions we didn't get to. And anything else anybody would like to bring up?